Hello, I hope this video finds you well. In today's video, I go over everything you need to know to easily take down the Timekeeper in Borderlands 4. The Timekeeper is the big bad guy in Borderlands 4. He has two very different forms that have fairly different movesets. I'll break down all his attacks and how to easily avoid them. The first attack I'll go over is the triangle vertical laser. The Timekeeper spawns a triangle over his head and fires a laser at you that travels in an up and down or vertical direction. Pretty straightforward, fairly easy to dodge. The next attack is very similar to the previous laser attack, but this time the Timekeeper spawns two floating triangles in front of his chest and fires two horizontal laser beams. Next up, the Timekeeper shoots several triangles of light in your direction and then teleports to where the last triangle stopped and tries to hit you with a melee attack. This next attack is very similar to our other teleporting melee. In this version of it, you'll notice a series of golden triangles traveling across the ground in your direction. Wherever the triangles stop is where the Timekeeper is going to teleport to deal a melee attack. Another attack that the Timekeeper has is where he summons a large pyramid and it tracks to your location to try and damage you. At first, I would try and outrun this pyramid, but I found it much easier to just dodge through it, and then it's hard for the pyramid to turn around and track you. This next attack is pretty much a flashbang that if you're looking at the Timekeeper when this goes off, you will go blind for approximately 5 to 6 seconds. You'll know this move is coming because the Timekeeper spawns a large pyramid over his head, and then you'll see a large glowing circle forming on the ground. To dodge this attack, just look away before the flash goes off and you will not go blind. Alternatively, if you can get outside of the glowing circle, you will also not go blind. Another one of the Timekeeper's attacks is where he throws you really high up into the air with little to no warning. Once you are up in the air, you need to look down to the ground and try and spot a part of the floor that has no electricity on it, and then glide and land on that spot. Sometimes it's the smallest little itty bitty area in the corner. Once there, he'll do a few of his other attacks while the floor is still electric. Just wait him out and the floor turns back to normal. For our next attack, the Timekeeper will spawn two force fields in the shape of a V and stand behind it and shoot a series of floating triangles into the air. These triangles will eventually burst and have a bit of an AoE, so just watch out for that. Simply run past the force field walls to avoid the damage from the triangles bursting, and then you'll still be able to put some damage in once you get around the other side of the force field. Another attack that the Timekeeper has in his arsenal is one where he'll spawn a golden pyramid, and then 3 lasers will shoot up into the air from the pyramid, then come down to the ground and start rotating in a circle. This attack just goes on for a while the Timekeeper continues to use his other attacks. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye out for that because it adds an extra element of danger. Alright, now that we've reached the halfway point in this fight and the Timekeeper has shown his true form, let's go over his various attacks. The Timekeeper definitely has some moves from his previous form, like when he shoots the pyramid through the air at you, and some of his moves have gotten an upgrade. One of the previously mentioned upgraded attacks from his first form is his larger, bigger laser. You'll notice that in this form, the Timekeeper has a large floating triangle above him. If you see this triangle start to glow, It's about to fire at least one, sometimes two, lasers at you. This time, however, it leaves an electric AoE on the ground, so definitely keep an eye out for that. If you see the Timekeeper float above the ground, and it kind of looks like he might be doing a cannonball, which I know sounds really weird, but kind of the best way to describe it. This means he's about to launch a volley of missiles that launch through the air and then stick into the ground and act like little mines. Definitely do not walk over them. If at any point during your fight with the Timekeeper, you see him jump into the air and transform into a giant glowing pyramid, he's about to come hurtling towards you for a big melee attack. Definitely watch out for this one. The next attack I'll go over is one where the Timekeeper spawns the sides of a pyramid into his hands. Once the pyramid forms in the Timekeeper's hands, he seems to pull it apart and throw the shards all over the ground, covering the arena. These shards burst into what I can only describe as a cage of lasers. Just dodge the lasers, steer clear, and you should be all good. For our next attack, keep an eye out for a large gold triangle on the ground. If you see this, steer clear, as a ton of electrical light will come shooting out of it into the air. Very straightforward, just don't stand in the triangle. For this next attack, you'll see the primordial guardian Timekeeper's tail raise up behind his head, kind of above it. If you see this, that means that his tail is about to come flying at you like some sort of scorpion get over here moment from Mortal Kombat. If the tail grabs you, it pulls you up in the air towards the Timekeeper, and then he blasts you in the face with a laser. This is a very quick attack and the tail is very, very short. So you really have to be watching for this one. This one got me quite a few times. I'm not gonna lie. At some point in the fight against the Timekeeper, you'll notice that a series of large floating pyramids come up from the ground and start to float in the air. And the floor is about to become electric. If you look up at the floating pyramids, you can grapple up to them to safety. But don't stay on that specific pyramid for too long, as the Timekeeper starts firing a laser at you. So you'll have to grapple to the next pyramid to not get damaged. Just continue to grapple from pyramid to pyramid until the attack is over. Here is a slightly sped up version of my fight with the Timekeeper. Well, that is just about everything you're gonna need to know to easily take down the Timekeeper in both of his forms. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, this is Blue Lungs. Cheers!